is the Honda CB650R, a good beginner's bike. Stick around and I'll tell you all about it and what my thoughts are. So is the Honda CB650R a good bike for beginners? Well, this is my first big bike, and I went from a Yamaha YS125 up to this bike. I've had absolutely no issues with it whatsoever. And I feel, you know, the jump in power from 125cc up to 650cc, you know, it's a big jump, but with experience, good tuition, and you know, self-discipline, it's easily done. So would I get this bike straight away if I wasn't doing if I wasn't jumping up from, say, a 125? So if that was me, and I did have a 125 for a while, I probably wouldn't have got this bike. I probably would have gone for something like a 400, so maybe an MT-03, Z400, even these days, those new Triumphs that are out that are 400s, they look really nice, but they weren't around when I learned. And that's purely on the fact that I just would have liked to have kind of gone up in power step by step as I gained experience on the road, and it's probably quite a sensible way of going about it, but I just feel it would have been better suited for my kind of riding education to have done it that way. As it stands out, I did actually have a 125 for about 12-13 months, and I learned to ride on the previous iteration of this bike, the 650F. So I felt confident when I passed my test that this size engine and everything would be okay for me. It is a powerful bike, 94 horsepower. But the majority of that is later on in the rev range, so it's a really linear power delivery. So going through the gears, accelerating, it's very smooth, very comfortable. You've got to really thrash the engine to kind of get to the peak power, up at like 10-12,000 revs really, which by the time, if you're doing that in third, fourth gear, you're going to be kind of breaking the speed limits anyway. So I wouldn't be worried about the horsepower of it. It's more than enough. You're never going to need more really for standard road riding. Never taken this bike on the track, so I don't know quite what it can do on the track, but it's obviously got more horsepower than something like the MT-07, Kawasaki Z650, but like I said, most of that power comes later on. But for hooning around roads like this, it's perfect. Next I'll talk about is the reliability. Now, obviously it's a Honda, Japanese bike, Japanese brand, known for reliability, and honestly I've got no issues whatsoever with this bike. I've had it 3.5 years now, never had a problem. Only standard kind of maintenance on it, so changing brake pads, put some Michelin Race 6 tyres on it. Yeah, and had no reliability issues whatsoever, so spot on when it comes to that. Price of the bike, I think brand new these days, they're about 7,200, probably a little bit more with the new e-clutch on them. Which is basically Honda's version of a built-on quick shifter, and you can have the clutch out in first gear at a standstill and just pull away. I'm not tried one of them yet, but I'd love to see what that's all about. So yeah, price-wise, I think it's pretty competitive against, again, likewise models, Triumph, Trident 660, Kawasaki Z650, and the Yamaha MT-07 are probably the most competitive kind of bikes. And I think they're all relatively the same kind of price, so yeah, it's a pretty good bike for the price. Love the engine braking on this machine. The engine is so smooth going up and down the gearbox. It's very confidence inspiring. I actually learned to ride on one of these. Well, I did my full license on one of these, on the 650F it was called. So it's the previous iteration of this before they brought out the R. Same engine, same-ish chassis. Just the style's a little bit different when they went from the F to the R on this. And initially when I went from, because I had a Yamaha YS125, really small little bike, very light, nimble. When I went from that to this, I did find it quite intimidating to start off with, you know, doing the initial kind of couple of rides on it, because this is a big bike for its category. It's over 200 kilos. It's heavier than the Yamaha in the Kawa. But once you've ridden it a couple of times, you kind of get used to it. And I actually prefer something a bit larger. Please don't reverse, thank you. Yeah, I feel more of a presence on the road with something a bit larger, and obviously it's not massive compared to the other bikes, but there's something about just having a little bit of weight and sturdiness to it. Doesn't affect the skunk all over the road. Doesn't affect the handling of the bike. Just a bit heavier to push around if you ever need to. Speaking of handling, this bike's great. On kind of twisty-ish roads like this, it's really nice. I'm not going too crazy today because you can see how bad the weather here is, but slow speeds through city, Up to the quicker speeds, it's really nice to handle. Just feels nice tipping it in around corners. Initially when I bought it, I had the stock tyres that came with the Dunlops. They were okay, but as soon as I put the Row 6s on it, changed the bike completely, just gave me another level of confidence, really. Insurance for the bike. Now, there's so many factors that matter when you're insuring a bike, but for me, I live within the M25, so Greater London, so I'm paying London prices. But I found when I was testing bikes, when I went from 125 up to this size engine, the Yamaha NT07 is the most expensive, then the Kawasaki, and then this. The Yamaha was by far more expensive. A very nickable bike. And the Kawasaki and this one were pretty similar. But it all depends on where you live, what you're using it for. I use it for commuting as well as social, and also, you know, do you want to go third party fire and theft or fully comp? Gone fully comp. But it's not an overly expensive bike to insure, I would say. Would I buy this bike again if I had the opportunity? Yeah, I definitely would. For a first big bike, it's been brilliant. And I'm still learning a lot on it. Jesus Christ, these potholes. It's great fun to ride around this bike. More than enough power. I love second and third gear. They're probably my favourite gears of the bike. You can really open them up, get going on it. It's one of these electric buses, not in service. Heard a lot about them breaking down and being stuck on the side of the road. Give me a bike any day. Look at the mud everywhere. Horrible. Since I got the Michelin Row 6s on it, going up from this stock Dunlops that it came with, it did make a massive difference to the bike. I felt a lot more confident, especially because I do a lot of winter riding. just on roads like this. Never had any hairy moments, he says, as he's approaching a roundabout. So in conclusion, I think this bike is great for a beginner's bike. You've got the reliability, the running costs are, you know, pretty good. It's not overly powerful, it's got a really smooth engine. Not too bad to insure. And it's fun to ride, and it looks cool as well. It's got a mixture of the sport and the cafe racer vibe about it. That's why they call it the Neo Sports Cafe. It's well made, nicely put together bike. It's not done too cheaply. So thanks for watching. Hopefully see you again soon. Check out my other videos, like and subscribe. Take care.